What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna do a fun little video about reviewing some floor mats. I have had the privilege of trying probably every floor mat on the market for the 6th generation Ford Bronco. Obviously I got a set of WeatherTechs here. I've got the OEM ones, I've got a set of OE-Dro, and then currently what is in the Bronco right now is a set of 3W liners. They've been in there for about 6 months. And it's sort of going to be a review video on that specific floor liner compared to everything else that I have here. Without further ado, this video is sponsored by 3W Liners. They did send me these mats, like I said, about 6 months ago to try out. This is going to be a very unbiased and genuine review if you're considering buying a set of floor mats for your 6th generation Ford Bronco. Most of these things start at like $170 plus up to like $270-ish for a set of WeatherTechs. So just to kind of help you make a decision on what you want for your trucks, I'm going to show you my honest thoughts about each of them kind of comparatively, and then hopefully that will help you make a decision what you need for your truck. So, all right, starting off here, these are the 3W liners. Like I said, they've been in the Bronco for about 6 months or so. Truck is super dirty. I have a lab, so there's dog hair everywhere. I went to the beach recently, and this is kind of what they look like after in and out of the truck at the beach. You can see a lot of sand just kind of filled up in the grooves there. These sit right inside the door sill, so there is probably a little sand penetration. Actually, there's not. It's actually pretty impressive there. So you can see they sit real tight against the door sill, and then they go up really tall up in here on the left side where the footrest is, and then underneath the brake and accelerator pedal there. 2 clips here that kind of hold them in place so they don't move around. A tall wall here on the back side by the seat, and then a big lip around the whole perimeter of the mat. So if you spill in kind of liquids, obviously if you spill a gallon of water in here or a gallon of something, it's going to overflow. But 20-ounce drink or something, I would say would probably sit inside the mat. You can kind of just pick it up and pour it out. Passenger side, front floor, same thing, sits right in here in the door sill. Tall wall on the back side, got the dual clips, keep it from moving around. It does have a really high coverage underneath the glove box there. So again, somebody with longer legs, bigger feet, it's going to help keep that upper side of the carpet protected under there. So same thing, at the beach, my wife was sitting up here in the front seat. You can kind of see there's actually more sand on my side than her side. But, obviously got kind of like this tire tread pattern, which is cool. But a lot of, pockets to catch things versus it kind of moving around. So that way the surface of the mat is still rubbery versus, rubbing against dirt or whatever the debris is specifically. So that's kind of nice. So second row, same thing. They actually sit over the door sill, whereas the front, they sit inside of it. So that's, kind of nice there. And then, kind of same thing, it backs up against the back of the seat mounts there. It does look like, I didn't notice this until making this video. So when I moved the seat back, I guess this lip caught on the seat and it has, folded it back like so, which, is not ruined essentially, but that might be something to consider when you move your seat back to make sure that this tucked inside the seat and it probably caught right there. But, again, this is just real world 6-month review of the mats. I do like how they have a really far, kind of foot guard here. I think my OEM one stopped about here, and I'll show you the differences in that here in a second. But, I've got a big shoe, so somebody with larger feet, longer legs, this gives a little bit more protection on the carpet. On the back side, again, this is a WeatherTech, so it has the carpet interior, whereas some of the Broncos have the washable floors. So for a user like me, having as much coverage as possible, again, I got dogs, so you can see where their mat was, there's no dog hair, and then where there's exposed, there is dog hair, and debris, dirt, whatever. So having as much coverage as possible is super nice. Second row, passenger side, very similar to the driver's side second row. This side is a little different here. Looks like it actually caught a little bit on this side too, versus the other side, it rolled it totally over. So again, just maybe keep note of this. Or maybe let the mats sit outside in the sun a little longer before you stick them in. I literally opened these things up, put them, boxed the floor, and didn't give them time to like loosen up. So they were kind of floppy when I put them in. And you can kind of see, because of it being pressed here, it looks like it moved it up over that plastic there. So, but had that not caught, it probably wouldn't have done that. But other than that, you know, lots of coverage. They fit real nice. The lips are not rolling on any corner, front, back. So that's nice. I will be kind of talking about that with a different brand, or the WeatherTech specifically. I've had WeatherTechs in several vehicles actually, and they always tend to roll up on the edges. So like I said, 6 months these have been in here. It's super flat. There's no rolling at all. Yeah, so there you go. Kind of give you an idea of what they look like. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull them out of the truck, put them on the table, workbench, and kind of show you the differences between the 3W, the WeatherTechs, and the OEM ones. And I even have another set over there. I'll show you the differences between those two. Just kind of give you an idea of the comparison between all the mats. I have ran all of these mats in the Broncos. You can see they're all used and dirty except for the WeatherTech. I have had WeatherTechs in 6 different vehicles, I believe, 5 or 6 for sure. So I do have a lot of experience running the WeatherTech, you know, being that it is kind of a really popular brand. So I'm going to give you kind of my experience with previous WeatherTechs, and I have had a set of WeatherTechs in the Bronco as well. Just it's been probably a year or 2 since I've had WeatherTechs in a Bronco. But again, let's just be totally honest. A floor mat in general is going to do its job, right? It doesn't matter what brand it is, wherever that mat sits, underneath that mat generally is going to be pretty well protected. The difference is going to be how the mat sits, how it lasts over time, the ease of cleaning, how it you know, tracks and how you slip on it, how it prevents water penetration and things like that. So those are the things I'm going to try to talk about between the 3 mats here, and hopefully help you make a decision, because let's be honest, some of these mats, like I think the OEM mats are like $180. The 3W I think is real close to that price point. The WeatherTechs are $260 shipped. That's what they cost to ship to my house. So WeatherTechs being the most expensive mat probably on the market. Let's go ahead and get into the stock mat, right? OEM one to the 3W. 3W has a higher footrest here. Now, the OEM mat is a very rubbery, just kind of floppy mat. You know, it did its job decently, but you can see the edges were rolled, and I would stag my foot right here pretty frequently. And there's always a lot of dust and dirt penetration between the door sill and the mat right here in this point. Same thing up here. This will kind of flop over. And, you know, it just, when they got slick, or wet, I wouldn't say slick. When they got wet, they got really slick. So just keep that in mind. The back side of the mat, I will say that the factory mat does have a lot of teeth on the back side, so the mat stayed pretty well in place. It never seemed to move around a whole lot, but it's a good mat, right? It has its downfalls. It had a lot of penetration on the side. I think it could have had a little bit more coverage up top too. So kind of give you an idea of the stock mat. Now let's transition over to the 3W liner. Like I said, when I showed you guys this right out of the gates, there was very minimal, you know, dust and sand penetration between the mat and the door sill here on the side of the mat. The footrest here on the left side of the mat has a ton of coverage. So I got to rest my foot here quite a bit actually. And then it's a flat straight across. So between the accelerator and the brake, you have a lot of coverage all the way behind the pedal, which is nice because usually I'm in a place where my feet are either muddy, sandy, dirty, or wet or whatever. Knowing that whatever debris is on my boots is not going to fall on the carpet underneath the pedals. So I will say I've had these in the truck for 6 months. They have never moved. They've always stayed real tight and in place. The clips always seem to be super secure and snug. The back wall here towards the seat, again, never, it doesn't ever seem like it's rolled over or anything. Overall, I've been really impressed with this mat comparatively to what I've had in the Bronco so far. The back side of the mat, while there's not any teeth specifically on the back of this, there's a lot going on back here, right? A lot of texture, kind of like this grid pattern here. So I guess in my opinion, I think that's held the mat, you know, it helps hold the mat more in place. Once those carpet fibers, you know, kind of get up into those grooves, the mat just seems really secure and doesn't move a whole lot when it's inside the truck. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna compare the 3W to the WeatherTech. Again, if you look just at this, the 3W sits inside of the WeatherTech, right? So to some, that's a disadvantage. To some, it's an advantage, right? I'm gonna give you my opinion on it. So I have had WeatherTechs in the past, several times actually, and while there is more coverage on the sides and even up at the top, if you come over here, again, in my experience with 5 different sets of WeatherTechs, these are good mats. I mean, let's be honest, they really are a decent mat. They've been around for a long time, very reputable brand, made in the USA. However, in my experience, every set of WeatherTechs that I've ever owned and I've purchased outright with my money, they do 3 things. They turn like a light gray color, they fade. They don't stay this pretty nice black. They always turn a lighter color, and you gotta spray like almost like an Armor All or some sort of plastic conditioner on the mat to bring that black shine back into them, which again, you spray a conditioner on them, it makes them slippery, so then they slide when you get inside of it, which is a disadvantage, right? Because they go over the door seals here on the side, every single set of WeatherTechs, they all do this. They go all over the door seal. They start to roll up, every single one. Right here on the edge, they roll up, and then I've even seen them roll up kind of up here in the front. Along not the firewall, but the transmission hump, and up here, never seemed to be too much of an issue. It's always right here over the door seal, and I've actually tripped on a different vehicle with a set of floor mats that are WeatherTechs right here where it rolls over the door seal. It's just, that's what always happens. Another thing too is there's been a couple instances on previous WeatherTechs where either I forgot to clip this in all the way, or I hit it and it came unclipped. And for the most part, they stay pretty secure, but there has been a couple instances where they were unclipped, and there's not a whole lot back here. And because this mat is a very plasticky, rigid tray, essentially, and not a mat, they tend to want to walk, right, like this, and they move around if they're not clipped. And then because there's only 2 points of securement on the bottom of the mat, and there's not a lot of nothing going on up here, it's real slick, it still seems like the mat wants to rock a little bit, which in my opinion makes the clips loosen up because the top of the mat is doing this. If you're somebody that's concerned about liquids spilling frequently for whatever reason, this is going to be your best bet, because it's look at it, it's like a bucket, right? Over the door sill, high walls all the way around. I just, for $270, I don't like that they turn gray and I got to worry about conditioning them and then slipping after I've conditioned them. I don't like that it's a potential tripping hazard, especially for my wife. She's a lot shorter than me, so she can't kick her feet up as high as I can getting over the door sill, so it's a more potential tripping hazard for her. Or, I just think for the price point, they're a little overpriced for the couple things that's a downfall about the mat. I do have another floor mat here from an entirely different brand. To kind of give you another difference in mat here. I don't even know what brand this is. Oedro. I don't know, they're probably an Amazon brand. Same thing, another mat that was sent to me. Now these are, I think, closer to the WeatherTech. They're a lot floppier, and same thing, the edges rolled up on this mat, and then they walk a lot. There's nothing back here. It's super smooth, and so the mat wanted to move quite a bit. Up here, this actually kind of started to roll forward on the footstep or the footrest. So it seems like the material texture is very similar to that of WeatherTech, but it's definitely a more rubbery compound than what the WeatherTech was. But I ran these for like 3 months and pulled them out. I didn't like these mat at all. So again, I've had every mat I think possible for the Bronco, and I just wanted to give you guys as much of a genuine, authentic review as possible between OEM, 3W, and the WeatherTech, right? Most people that buy a Bronco probably are going to get the factory all-weather mats that come with them. Overall, a decent mat. It does its job. maybe save the $180 buying a set of all-weather ones from the factory and consider doing a mat from 3W, which is about the same price point. So again, in my opinion, bang for your buck, this is one of the better buys than going up to the WeatherTech. Again, all good mats. I'm not saying that WeatherTech is a bad mat. I'm not saying that the 3W is a better mat. I'm just giving you a honest feedback. I think that the 3W is the best bang for your buck because you save almost $100 between this set and this set. So, and then long term, again, because these are a little bit more rubbery compound than these, this is more of a plastic. 6 months in, they still look as black as they were the day I opened them, except for them being dirty. Whereas I can tell you from real world usage, a year into owning these, they turn like a gray color every single time. So, all right. First off, we're going to start with the factory OEM Ford Bronco floor mat. See, it kind of goes in real floppy. You can kind of see right here where I was talking about how it's rolled. So, like I said, I would always have a lot of dirt and dust penetration right here. And then sometimes I would even catch this, and I actually remember a couple times unsnapping because my foot would catch right there in my boot. I'm gonna go ahead and hop in the truck, and there was times where you can actually see right there where my foot caught the mat. Again, it's just, this always seemed to be a tripping hazard. But you know, when my feet are dry, pretty good traction. The footrest only covers half of the step there, so the mat only covered half of that footrest. So again, I always use this rest quite a bit, so if my boot was muddy, there was always dirt and mud that would fall behind the mat. So just keep that in mind too with the factory one. Same, you can already see setting my foot here how this wants to roll over. And then underneath the gas pedal, a lot of dirt up here can sit behind the floor mat on the carpet. So I always found that this was a slicker mat too when they were wet. Pop in the 3W. Right away, mat's got a lot more of a rigid feel to it. Locks into place, same thing. Sits nice and tight here between the fender or the door seal and the mat itself. Total coverage on that footrest. Nice high wall here on the side. Same thing against the back. All the way covering underneath the gas and the brake pedal. So same thing, I'm gonna hop in the truck. Again, super snug. No point of catching the mat from the door sill to the mat since it sits right on the back side of it, nice and tight. It actually presses against this lip here, really snug, so that's nice. Big kind of cleated mat, so a lot of places for the mat to catch debris off your shoes or boots. And in my opinion, this has been the most traction oriented mat if your feet are in a slippery condition with like ice, mud, snow, whatever. So I really like these mats. This has been a really good mat. Hop in the WeatherTech. So all right, now again, this is a brand new mat. Before we even move forward, I can already see I mean, that's, you know, it's nice and tight and secure. Again, this side of the wall, these are always real snug and tight over here. Lots of coverage underneath the gas pedal and the brake pedal. A lot of coverage in the back wall here, even back here towards the seat. But this right here is always the WeatherTech problem right here. You can see, I mean, it already wants to lip up. And you know, right here, it's a hard tripping hazard. So, you know, again, I'm a taller person, so getting in the truck, I can step over that. But remember I told you guys, because the back of the floor mat, there's not a lot back there and the mat wants to move. So you can see just moving my feet just ever so gently, the mat's moving around. It's rocking already. There's movement here on the clips. The whole mat is moving a half an inch, 1 foot even, just lightly moving my foot. The mat wants to move. There's nothing on the back side of the floor mat to keep it like tucked in the carpet. A lot of coverage on the WeatherTech, but they move. And then again, I'm taller, so I can step over this, but my wife, she kind of drags your feet over the door sill, this is just a tripping hazard. It hasn't even rolled it up yet. Over time, this is going to roll up here, and then it ends up looking something like this, and then it's more of a hazard that you trip on. But yeah, so there you have it, guys. That's the comparison between the WeatherTech, the 3W, and the OEM Bronco floor mats for the 6th generation Ford Bronco. Hopefully this helped you make a little bit more of a decision on what you want to spend your money on, whether it be, you know, in that $170, $180 range, or stepping up to like $250, $280 for a set of WeatherTechs. Again, this is an unbiased review. I think the 3W is a great mat. I think the factory one's a great mat, and I think the WeatherTech's a great mat. They're all good mats. They all do their purpose and job. It just depends on the quality of the mat and its long-term usage, right, and how the mat sits in the vehicle and just lives in the floor of the truck. So anyway, hope you guys liked the video. If you do like the video, comment on the video. Again, thank you 3W for sponsoring this video and letting me share some more information with this beautiful Bronco community. Until the next video, we'll see you in the next one, guys. Thanks for watching.